questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
Michael Devine.
You're very clever, my charming little friend.
With more stimulating talk radio.
But not clever enough.
I'm pretty clever, though, and when we get Rob Jones in the room, boy, are we clever. Rob Jones, News and Sports Director, is our guest, and you can see Rob. Well, you can see half his face. You might have to still move that way a little bit.
All right, let me move over.
There it is.
All right.
Yeah, okay, a little bit more. There we go.
Well, I
okay.
don't want to get too far off the microphone.
Well, I understand that. You're a microphone pro. I understand that. Anyway, Rob Jones is here. He's our News and Sports Director, of course, and it's our great pleasure to have Rob in the studio every now and then to talk sports because he knows more about sports, and I don't care what Nevin and Randy say. He knows more about local sports than those two guys and me. You know, it's just by coincidence I was going to have Andy Adams in today at this slot.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, you know, and I'm ashamed of myself or embarrassed. I should have had her in a while ago, and the baseball coaches, Blake Utley, and all those folks. It's not too late. But it's almost time to get a hold of Bobby Thompson, of the wrestlers, and Nick Mosier of the football team. It's amazing those guys all stepped up into these positions. You know, it's not surprising. I mean, they were talented athletes in high school, but
just for you, it's a generational.
It's just
thing,
a generational.
You watched a lot of them play.
Yes, I did. I watched almost every. I know I watched every single football game those guys played in their senior year, and probably almost every game they played through high school, even T-ball, T-ball and flag football, both. As a matter of fact, Blake was on, I think I've mentioned to you before that Blake was actually on my flag football team when he was just a little kid.
Yeah.
I was not the greatest coach in the world.
Well, that doesn't surprise me all that much.
No, now you're hurting my feelings. What do you mean it doesn't?
Well, you're good at a lot of things, but I don't know that football coach would be one that would be in your wheelhouse.
Well, little kid football coach. Did you ever coach little kids?
A little bit, yeah, but mostly high school.
Yeah, well, little kids are, you know, they don't know. They're little kids.
Yeah, it's a different deal.
Yeah, it is. And mainly it's trying to get them all to go in the right directions, like herding little ducklings or geese or something. Trying to get them all going in the same direction.
Yeah, I coached some Little League baseball for a little while, and it was like herding cats.
It was like that's the phrase. Yeah, coaching little kids like that's like herding cats, and you know you can't get into any complicated plays or anything like that. I also coached the basketball team for little kids one year, and thank God I had a guy with experience in coaching, and so he came up with a couple plays, and he did a real good job with it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about me. I have the rest of the afternoon to do that.
You've got plenty of time to do that.
Well, I'm impressed with our girls softball teams, both the senior high team and certainly St. Edmunds.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been outstanding. So where are we at now as far as St. Edmund women's sports goes, or girls sports?
Yeah, so St. Edmunds softball has been on an absolute tear. They are 13-1 in their last 14 games. So the only loss they've had at that stretch was to Van Meter on the road, which Van Meter's a ranked team in 2A, and that was a tournament game at Van Meter. Other than that, they've been winning. They actually won another game last night. They beat Algona, your old stomping ground, last night in extra innings, which gave them the season sweep over Algona, which is a big deal because Algona was a state tournament team last year. So to get a sweep over them is a big deal for St. Edmund. Coach Bill Sherburne is in his second year with St. Edmund. He has done a tremendous job. Offensively, they have really come alive in the stretch of the last few weeks where they've been 13-1. They've really put the bat on the ball. That's been a big thing for him, is getting them squaring the ball up and hitting the ball better, and they've been able to do that. In my opinion, Bill Sherburne would have to be in the conversation on the short list for coach of the year in that North Central Conference because they are up at the top of that conference. They've got a chance to win the regular season title in the North Central Conference, which is significant because St. Edmund is the smallest school in that conference. That conference is, you know, your Algonas, your Humboldts, Webster City, a lot of bigger schools. So they're having a tremendous year, and it would not shock me, Mike Devine, in July to be here in late July talking about having the city of Fort Dodge with 2 teams in the state tournament.
Oh, I expect
Fort Dodge
I
Senior
honestly
High
do.
and St. Edmund.
I expect that to happen. I really do. Andy Adams over on the senior high side, of course, is a great coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure. You know, Sherbert, I should have had him in here by now. But
Yeah.
I
don't
get all caught up with my politicians and I forget about it.
Well, and it also, you know, it's a difficult time for them right now. I mean, everybody's busy. I mean, they're playing almost every night right now, and there's a lot going on with that, and that's a difficult time. And then, you know, your day part is kind of a time where they're either practicing or
That's
they're
right.
getting
I know
ready
that.
for a game, you know. So
I know that.
there's a lot of factors to that, and I know that they're busy this time of year because I talked to a lot of the coaches, you know, on my Saturday coaches show.
I
and-
was going to say, you got it covered because you're more of a sports guy. I mean, I'm sure you know who the president of the United States is, but you don't really care. What you really care about is the NBA tournaments and girls softball and all those things.
Well, I would probably vote for a few of the coaches around here before I'd vote for the current president. So there you go.
I don't get me started on presidents, man. We got to keep focused on sports, or I'll take off. You know that. No, are the Dodger boys done? They are, aren't they?
No, they're still playing.
Are they still playing?
Everybody's still playing. We've got a couple of weeks left in the regular season, and then we'll get into the playoffs in about the second week of July for everybody starting the playoffs, and then we'll work into the girls' state softball tournament there, not the last week of July, but the week right before that, ending July the 23rd, and then the boys' state baseball tournament will be the last week of July. So we've still got regular season to go here for a couple of weeks before we get into the playoffs.
Sure. By the way, before we forget, there's a St. Edmund game.
There is.
There's a little confusion as to when it starts.
Yeah, so St. Edmund and Pocahontas area baseball tonight is on Sunny 99.7. We have been under the impression up until about 10 minutes ago, I've been under the impression that we were going to play at 7:30. That's what we have on the schedule. I did get some information contrary to that I think is probably solid information. I don't want to reveal where I got it from, but I'm hearing that they're going to start at 5:30. So
You're hearing, but it's not confirmed, right?
Yes, let's see what
It
we
is
got.
confirmed.
Wait a minute. Let me see what I got. I just got a text. Move to 5:30 for the threat of rain. And they say that they hope that we can still do it. If not, they understand. We'll make every effort to still carry that game at 5:30. As soon as I leave here, I will put the wheels in motion for that.
Sure. Yeah.
So we will try to do that the best we can. Obviously, short notice for us. You know, we don't just show up and do the game, Mike Devine. There's a little bit different
Well, I always
to
did.
that. So
I just brought along my little remote thing and plugged it in and said, "Hi, everybody."
well, you know, there's production to that. There's, you know, things we've got
No,
to
you're
move
such
around.
a perfectionist. You know this. You know that we're just little towns. Without
Well,
but you know the only reason.
I hate
No,
when people
no.
tell me that.
No. Here, I know you don't want to hear this, but radio sports is for grandmas to hear their grandson's name or granddaughter's game on the
In
radio.
part, you're right. You're
and
right.
Nevin Mulholland too. What is radio sports? Other places you worked. You're from South Carolina. Were you in radio in South Carolina? I guess.
yeah,
I never
yeah, I
had-
was. Yeah,
Okay. And you worked in Texas.
yeah. Worked in Texas. Worked in Oklahoma. Worked
Oklahoma.
in Louisiana.
All right. Were you in small town radio then? Or?
In Oklahoma, I was. In South Carolina, I was in a medium-sized town because I was in Clemson. In Oklahoma or in Texas, I was with a national syndicated network. So no.
Okay. Well, I know a little bit about Oklahoma. I worked for a while in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I know
it's
Fort Smith.
It's
Yeah,
right, it's right across the road from
Yeah.
Proto, Oklahoma.
yeah.
And the Oklahoma people are more Southern, more cowboy than we are up here. But they're the nicest people you'd want to see. I mean, in the small towns anyway. And I was in small towns in Oklahoma.
The eastern part is a lot different than the western part in Oklahoma too. I was in the western part, like toward the Panhandle, and so the eastern and western's a little different. I would tell you the eastern part is more of the southern feel. The western part is more of the kind of heartland feel and kind of Ponderosa-ish, if you will, because you'll drive for miles and see nothing but cattle, like I mean, and windmills, and
that's right. You will. That's right. So I got a quick question to ask. You. Since you grew up in the South Carolina, I think that, and you not grew up, but you spent time in Texas. I think there's a distinct difference in the western part of the South than there is in the eastern part of the South. In other words, the Carolinas, North and South Carolina, Georgia and Alabama all seem to have their little thing. Florida's kind of cosmopolitan. And then when you get a little west, Texas seems to have its own culture altogether.
It does. It does, and it changes within the state. West Texas is a more kind of cowboy kind of deal. East Texas, Northeast Texas, and rural East Texas, kind of that way too. Houston, where I lived for a long time, is kind of its own thing. Dallas is kind of its own thing. San Antonio.
San Antonio is a very. They still have. I think it's an overwhelmingly Latino city. Mostly Mexican Americans.
Heavy,
and but it's just a gorgeous city. You go down that Riverwalk in San Antonio, that's something else, man.
Yeah.
Dallas is Cowboys, man. Get the hell out of the way. They're coming through right now.
Yeah, and of course
I'm not talking about the football team either.
They've got the big stockyard, the Fort Worth Dallas stockyard and all that down there. So they still kind of got their own thing, and West Texas is real Ponderosa cowboy kind of thing, and of course they love their high school football. And being exposed to that, because when I was in Oklahoma, where we were located within the state, we were basically less than an hour from the Texas Panhandle. So you could get our signal in the Texas Panhandle. So we would go into the Panhandle and follow some of those teams. And so I got a chance to be around Texas football too there. And, that's where I became, probably was a perfectionist before that, but definitely when I got there, because those people don't mess around, about
that.
I
would think you'd have to do that in Texas. Yeah.
And, my philosophy is, like, when people tell me, well, we're just a small outfit or we're just a whatever, like, I don't like to bring that up, because when I bring that up, I think sometimes that's used as a way to say, well, we can't, instead of, I'm a guy that says we can. Like, why not?
You are 100% correctly. The customer, our listener, deserves it.
Yeah.
And that's the way, because, Rob, I'm a salesman more than you are. And by that, I mean, I got customers that I need to satisfy one way or the other.
Right.
I need to bring revenue into the radio station. I was taught that a long, long time ago.
Right.
That we're kind of all salespeople in radio, and we need to put a product out there that people want to use or have some use for. News and entertainment value. Not just, hi, I'm here. This is my ego trip for the day. I'm on the radio, because I got over that in like around 3 months.
My first year, it was like, oh, cool, I'm on the radio.
I'm on the radio.
That was about it. After that, you just kind of get used to it. And it's part of the deal. Like, I'm with you. Like, we strive to create a product here in my departments that you say, wow, we are a small market, but look at the product that we have. And that's what we're trying to do, is create a product that is bigger than the market itself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, it does. Do you think this is, because I'll tell you flat out, I don't think the show I do is a small market talk show. I think I could easily do a medium size or even a bigger market size. But this opportunity came along too late in life for me to go to Chicago or something doggone man.
Yeah, that, and I mean, you like where you're at, and you don't really want to change up where you're at, So, yeah, I agree. I think there are elements of what we do, a lot of the content that we do in this building, not just here on this show, but in this building.
I think this is the only one
that are that sound bigger than the market that we are. And that's when I got here, that was one of the visions that I had to come here. I'm not a guy who's going to say spend a lot of time on why we can't. I'm a guy that's going to figure out why we can and how we can.
That's right. Well, I suppose we've spent enough time patting ourselves on the back. So my back is already black and blue for me patting myself on the back. I can easily say I'm the greatest talk show host in Fort Dodge.
By default, you're probably the top dog. Actually,
I'm the
depends on
only
who
one.
you ask, because I have a Friday talk show,
Oh, that's
and
right.
you might ask Randy Coleman. He might disagree with
Oh,
your
come on.
assessment.
I've heard you, and you do a terrific job on Friday morning. But it's really the Rob Feelgood show. Come on, man. I hear you in here charming all these ladies you bring in here all the time, and you've got them twisted around your finger in no time at all. You get that Southern accent thing going, sense of humor thing going. Pretty soon the girls are all laughing at you. Next thing you know, you're all going to coffee, for God's sake. So I know that. I know that.
No, we do a different thing than what you do.
Yes,
I
you
do
do.
more community type of outreach and stuff
This
like
is a
that.
community radio station.
Yeah,
This is a community
that's the
radio
way I look
station.
at it. Yeah.
If this isn't, which one of the radio
What we
stations
doing?
is?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
When I got here, we played classic hits, classic
Mhm.
50s and 60s music,
Mm-hmm.
And I will say one thing, you talk about being radio. I was out of radio for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking for something part-time. And the guy that was the general manager at the time, who, by the way, was 5 general managers ago, he wanted somebody to talk show, because that's the way the station was going to go. They had Glenn.
Okay.
Back. They had Glenn back and a lot of
Yeah,
that
okay.
stuff. But anyway, he called me up and I said, well, I don't know if I'm interested in returning to radio full time. I don't want to work weekends. And he said, you don't have to anymore, which surprised me. And here I am. I took the job because I didn't have to work weekends anymore. Because we always used to,
Oh yeah. I mean, I still do in a lot of ways, but especially when I first started, I know you go back a long way. The automation now is a lot different than it used to be.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Remember that
what's
audio
changed a lot
vault
of it.
stuff? Now I'm talking inside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember AV. Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, we're talking sports here with Rob. Really, we're kind of running our heads.
Yeah,
in each
we're
other,
kind
but
of chasing rabbits a little bit.
that's all right. We need to chase rabbits a little bit.
Let's talk about Fort Dodge softball. They had a doubleheader
talked me into
sweep last night over Ankeny Centennial. 2 one-run games. They won last night 1-0 and 3-2. Did a good job from an execution standpoint. Played great defense. Pitching was really good. The bats are a little cold right now, but they have faced some really good pitching, so they're looking to kind of make those adjustments. And the Fort Dodge Softball Invitational was this past weekend, which for folks that didn't get a chance to get out for that was an incredible tournament, Mike. Like, there was 16 teams here in town. Of the 16 teams in the tournament, there was 3A's number 1, Davenport Assumption, Newell Fonda, 1A's number 1, 4A's number 1, Winterset, who won the state title there last year, and Cedar Rapids Kennedy was in town. It was the 5A champions from last year, state champs. Fort Dodge beat Newell Fonda on Friday. Then they turned around, beat Davenport Assumption on Saturday, 4-1. Lost to Muscatine. At that point, Muscatine was ranked 2 in 5A. Fort Dodge is ranked 1. Lost to Muscatine 1-0 in a pretty much a showdown, a pitcher's duel there, and dropped that one. But other than that, Fort Dodge has been hot. They've only lost twice since June 1st, so they've been and they've played a gauntlet of a schedule to try to get ready for the state tournament there. I know Coach Adams has put together a really tough schedule. I think I looked at it last night. I think they're 22-4 after last night, and 13 or 15 of those wins, I'd have to check the exact number, are against ranked teams. So they've played as tough a schedule as anybody in the state to get ready to try to make a run at state tournament and get that big gold trophy finally.
Now the Gales boys are playing tonight at 5:30.
5:30, yes, 5:30. We've got
At,
confirmation on that, and we're going to put that game on Sunny 99.7, St. Edmund and Pocahontas area, a little regional rivalry game on your radio this evening. So we're going to get going on that as soon as I leave the studio here.
I'm going to get you in trouble here and say you do baseball and football a lot better than Nevin ever did.
Well, he's a
If
lawyer by
listening-
trade.
Yeah,
though.
I know it. But if he's listening, he'll be over here to take issue with it.
I've actually never heard Devin do games, so I don't know.
He never gave the score.
Oh,
He
really?
was saying that was his trademark, I think.
See, I was always
People complained
taught,
about that for years. Give
Really?
the score, Bulldog.
I was always taught time and score is the most important thing you could do, and so I try to do that. I don't want you to listen for more than 3 or 4 minutes without knowing where we're at in the game and what the score is.
But you said it. Nevin had no real radio training. He went to law school. Wow. And you and I very wisely got into radio.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll compare his bank account to ours and see who won that deal.
I know where he lives, and my house, is not quite up to his. But I'm hoping.
I bet my
I'm going to put
apartment.
another bathroom in, and
I bet my apartment could fit in his living room, man.
No, probably the garage though. Rob Jones is our guest. Can you stay a little longer? You got to go.
I can stay for a couple of minutes.
All right. We're going to do the news. It's 2:30. The news is coming up at AM 1400 KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Summer is here. Time to get out and have some fun in the
That would be Rob Jones, of course. And Rob, again, I compliment you on your
There you
Daily
go.
Dodger.
There we go.
Is it an hour-long show or a half hour?
It's a hour-long show on Friday, 8 a.m. right here on KVFD. It's called Dodger Weekly. We do a lot of community type stuff. We talk to a lot of people doing charitable work.
Sure, that's a good
In
thing.
the area, a lot of leaders in the area here as well. And on Friday, our guest will be Nikki Conrad, Webster
Nikki.
County Board of Supervisors will be in this Friday. So she'll come in studio, and she does that once a month, and we have a good time and talk about everything going on in the county.
Well, that's good. Nikki and I have had a reconciliation from her powerful act of generosity when I was so sick.
Yes. Right.
Just a second. I'm going to sneeze.
Okay. Well, I do know what you're talking about, and I did see both of you guys at the Juneteenth celebration.
Juneteenth thing, yeah.
We were all there over the weekend, so.
Yeah, you were kind of off in the corner with her. You weren't hitting on the supervisor.
Oh, come on
Come
now.
on, man. Well, I know.
was having a conversation with one of the few people that I knew at the event.
All right. I noticed you didn't find me in the crowd and come over and talk to me.
You
but did
came over and found me. I was there before you.
That's right,
found
you were.
me.
That's right. Did you have any of Clayton's fish and ribs?
I did. I had some great catfish. Reminded me of home. It was awesome. And so I really enjoyed that. And the ribs were good too. Whoever did the marinade on the ribs, that was tremendous. The marinade was really good. Really enjoyed the food. It was awesome. It was a great time. It's a beautiful thing and a momentous occasion for us to celebrate. And I'm glad that it's a holiday now. I think that that's the right move. I think it's been a long time coming. So it was a good time out there. Really enjoyed it.
I had Zach Newsom and Sherry in here. Of course, I'm an older person. And Zach asked, and I asked him and Sherry what Juneteenth meant to them, and they told me. And then Zach asked me what Juneteenth meant to me. And I had to be honest with him. I said, nothing. I had no consciousness of what I'd heard of Juneteenth, but as I told Zach, I thought it was some kind of black people thing, that this was something that black people did, and they did it in their homes or in their in neighborhoods or whatever. I didn't know. I had to look it up, several years ago.
I think that's why it took so long for it to be recognized from a federal level, because there was no education of it. Like, even I'm a lot younger than you, and even me growing up, going through, school, I didn't hear of it from school. I picked that up in the real world. That's how I found out about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And being in Texas was a big part of that, because, Juneteenth originated in Texas. So
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it sure did. So that's kind of where that came about. And so for me, that's kind of where I learned about it too. And since then, just knowing about it, I think that's given me a little bit of an insight about how big that is for not just the black community, but for America in general. I mean, think about, if there's no Juneteenth, there's no Martin Luther King. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
all these things are tied to each other.
Well, again, Iowa is so white it hurts. I don't know. When I was in North Carolina, the county, Dare County I was in, was 60% black.
Yeah.
In the bigger cities, they're having Puerto Rican days, and they're having, of course, St. Patrick's Day. We all get drunk and eat corned beef and cabbage, which is disgusting food, but I eat it out of ethnic loyalty. But the big cities have all these different ethnic festivals, and especially through the Southwest, Texas and New Mexico and Arizona. I mean, there are some of those places, especially in New Mexico. A lot of the cities, you got to look around for a white person, because they're mainly Mexican American people of many generations.
Yeah. When I first moved to Houston, I was the only white person lived in the building I lived in. It was probably 80% Hispanic, and probably the other 19% was probably black. And then I was the 1%, the El Hombre Blanco, the white man.
El Hombre Blanco. Wait, what'd you do? Live in the fifth ward? The fifth ward of Houston?
I actually lived pretty close to the third ward of Houston on the south side when I first moved there. And then also lived on the southwest in what's called Sharpstown. And over there, it was mainly a Hispanic neighborhood too, and a Hispanic building. But I'll say this, they treated me like gold. I never had an issue. The only issue you'd have every once in a while is it would get a little loud sometimes on the weekend, maybe, and that would be about it. They were they were very family oriented. They were very nice to me. They're always smiling. There's a little language barrier because I don't speak a ton of Spanish, and a lot of them don't speak a ton of English. But I really learned a lot about the Spanish culture while I was there, and it's a very family oriented culture, and I really respect that. You know,
go ask some of your Spanish friends sometimes. I have a lot of Spanish friends, or Mexican American friends, a lot. And ask them what a movita is the next time you're there. You know what a movita is?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, I'll tell you when we're off mic.
Okay, all right. I don't know what that is.
That's all right.
But going back to kind of why I'm here, I don't think I'm here to talk about multicultural holidays.
No, but let me just finish by saying, Zach and Sherry told me that Juneteenth, they wanted people to come so we could all talk to each other. And what a great idea. Sometimes you get the idea, well, somebody did me wrong. They're a member of this ethnic group. They're a black person, so black people are bad or something. It's not the case at all.
Or vice versa.
Vice versa. There's a big, we don't like white men thing going on in the country right now. But I don't know how many people are really buying into that. That's a white liberal thing.
I think that is a narrative that's been being spun by some people, and it's got some momentum to it because you got a lot of people shouting loud, Mike. It's a vocal minority. I think at the grassroots level, the ordinary black man and woman doesn't think that way. I think the ordinary white man and woman doesn't think the way they're being portrayed either. I think it's a lot of a narrative to drive some propaganda and to drive some finances for some people in some specific groups that thrive on that kind of thing, right. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. That's the race relations today from two dudes who were white guys working in a radio station a little down in Iowa. I want to talk a little bit about Drake Ayala.
Yeah, Drake Ayala, yeah.
I still really have a thing for folk style wrestling, and Drake's amazing. That wrestling program out there continues to thrive and get better. I mean, we had Brody Teske as a star for a while, and he's over at UNI. And before that, we had Tristan. Tristan. Help me here. No, that was before your time.
I don't know. I wasn't here. I know of Brody. I know of the Laras. I know of Drew Bennett, that whole crew that won the state championship together. But I don't really know much before that. Is it Lara? Oh, yeah, Tristan Lara. He was in that same group with Brody. Yeah.
His younger brother, Lara's younger brother. And they just outstanding. And they upheld their hometown greatly and well.
Sure.
And I sure appreciate them doing
it. And let's not forget Drew Ayala, Drake's little brother.
Yeah.
He's coming up, qualified for state as a freshman for Bobby Thompson and Fort Dodge Wrestling, and was undefeated in the national freestyle event, as was Drake. Those two guys, and then Carson Doolittle from Webster City was 3-1. So those three guys really carried the mantle for Team Iowa for a national championship. The first time since 2005 Team Iowa's won that event.
Well, Drew probably had a pretty good workout partner through most of his life.
Well, that's true. That's true too. And then they've got
he wanted it or not.
They've got a little brother that'll be coming up pretty soon too. And if you're Bobby Thompson, you're calling the Ayala family and saying, "Hey, just have some more kids. Just have some more kids." I used to say about down where I'm from, I can tell if certain teams are good by you just hand me the roster, and I'll know by the last names if the team is good that year for that town. Because if there's certain names on it, I know they're going to be pretty good.
Well, the Lara brothers, their dad, Nick, I remember when he wrestled in school, he was a good wrestler. I think he went to state. I'm pretty sure he did. Maybe got a third place, or maybe I don't remember now, but I remember him wrestling in school, and he was a really good wrestler. And so I really think the difference, and I'm not trying to take a shot at any of the previous coaches at Fort Dodge Senior High because they've all been excellent. But when Bob got here, the nature of that program out there changed. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he brought to it. I've been to several wrestling meets where he's at, and he does not sit in his chair.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Not at all. He's animated. I think a big part of it is to his staff, and I think that there's a buy-in from the athletes for it to be really a year-long, year-round commitment for them. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary at all to see a Drake Ayala out running in the middle of the summer in the heat to be ready so that he stays in shape. It's not out of the ordinary to see a Drayson Phillips doing that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of it is they bought into it wholeheartedly.
You know, Bob Thompson told a great story one time. It was in the newspaper. He didn't tell it to me, but when Brody Teske was in school, they had come back from some tournament or something where Teske had done an outstanding job, you know, and he was the champion in his weight class and all that sort of thing. And it was early in the season. It wasn't snow on the ground yet, but it was cold and mist by the end. It was late by the time they got home. It was an away event. And Brody gets off the bus and goes for a run.
Wow.
Middle of night, 10:30, 11 o'clock, maybe even later than that at night. You know, and nobody told him to do that. And he wasn't ordered to do that. I mean, it had been a long day, a long wrestling meet, and a long ride home. But he just got off the bus and went for a run. and Bobby said at the time, and I remember this, you can't teach that.
Yeah.
You can't teach a kid to do that.
And Drake Ayala is like that too. I mean, he's a nonstop workhorse trying to get better. I think Drake is one that we're going to see in a few years, I think, in the Olympics. I really do. I think because he's just so driven to be better. You know, he had that one loss in the regular season this year, and I feel like that just stoked the fire that the kid already had and made him that much more locked in, that much more focused, you know. And sometimes when you're that great of an athlete, and I never was anything close to that kind of athlete, but I've been around some guys that are, and when you're that great of an athlete, you can get in a routine because you're so great that you're not doing your best, but it's good enough to beat everybody else. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'm not saying Drake was doing that, but I think sometimes a loss for a guy like that refocuses him. And I think for Drake, it refocused him, and there you see what happened.
One of the great stories of the state wrestling championship is Ayala. He took that loss.
Yeah.
A wrestler, I don't remember where he's from now. He's a tough
Waverly Shell Rock.
That's right. Tough redheaded kid.
Good kid. Yeah.
Wrestler.
Ryder Block is his name.
Anyway, what is it?
Ryder Block.
Okay. We'll probably see him again, too.
Yeah, I think he's only like a 10th grader, so you'll be hearing that name. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, he came down a weight to wrestle Ayala and beat him.
No. He was down a weight. Ayala went down a weight to get the rematch with him.
I thought Ayala went up a weight.
Oh, he did go up. Yeah, you're right. He did go. He went up a weight to get the rematch with him. Yeah, that's right.
Beat him.
And beat him
in the state tournament.
Yeah, beat him pretty decisively too.
Yeah. Ryder made a bad move there. But
yeah, and that's the thing, you know, about Drake is that what we're talking about is that lit fire under him, because he could have stayed at 126 and he could have won 126 probably without any problem at all. But he challenged himself to go up to 132 to get another shot at Ryder Block, a guy who had pushed him. And, you know, I think a lot of people was trying to talk that up as some major rivalry or whatever. Those two guys know each other, and they're actually kind of friends and have trained together in the offseason. So it wasn't like they hated each other or anything like that. Sure. It was just two guys doing what they do out there on the mat, trying to be the best.
You know, and here we are again talking about the great educational value that sports are. Yeah, sports in general.
I agree with that.
Participate. The vast majority of athletes aren't Drake Ayala or LeBron James, or take your pick in any sport, but they serve as an example of hard work and persistence and perseverance to other athletes. And you have to have that as you go through life. Yeah. If you start off in life giving up, and that's just a bad way to go.
Well, I think it teaches you a lot. I think you're right. I think it teaches you a lot about responding to adversity, which life is about how you get off the mat. You know what I mean? And how you respond to it. So that's a big thing for me. I think toughness, and I think it also teaches you about being willing to kind of maybe give up your own interest a little bit, so that the team can prosper. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing in you know, the professional workforce and that kind of thing. And so, I think there are a lot of lessons you can take out of it. And for me, being an athlete growing up, As a grown man now, I benefited from being a 3-sport athlete. There's no doubt in my mind, growing up as a 3-sport athlete, I'm better for that now than I was.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it's I really think, and I know some parents don't want their young men to be playing football now because football is, well, there was a lot of talk about traumatic brain injury and those sort of things. Okay, fine. My son played and he wasn't.
I played, and I mean, my brain's not racked.
It's hard to get racked when we're on the bench, isn't it? Ralph?
I actually played
Did you?
quite a bit. I played fullback, and now I never
You're
hardly.
a running back.
Well, I was a
Or a
fullback.
blocking back.
Basically, I was a blocking back.
All right.
I was a glorified offensive lineman for the best back in South Carolina. And so as long as I basically threw my body into somebody, he made somebody miss and probably scored a touchdown.
Well,
'Cause
you did
he
your job.
was he was unreal.
You did your
Played
job.
with a guy named Javis Austin. He went on to play at Clemson. I think he had 5,000 yards in his rushing yards in his high school career.
5,000.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Mike, like all you had to do was touch somebody and give that guy an opening and he would do the rest.
I don't remember the name. He must have not made it in the NFL.
He didn't make the NFL. He went to Clemson and he played there, was return specialist and was kind of a second team back. He never really made that next step that you have
Yeah,
to make. And a lot of Javis's issue, and I don't want to talk about him because he's not here to defend himself,
Right,
but
right.
a lot of it was he dealt with some things off the field that weren't of his doing or anything like that, but some off the field stuff, internal stuff that he had to try to get over, and he had a hard time with it,
Well,
to be
that-
honest.
that
So,
happens in life. But sports can teach you how to deal with it.
yeah, and he's a successful guy today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, there you go.
He's done well. So yeah, I mean, basically I was a glorified offensive lineman, and got my body, did the best I could to get my body on somebody, and that's why you see me sometimes walking around, Mike, and I'm limping a little bit or I'm favoring one shoulder because I mean it's like being a crash test dummy when you're in the I formation offense and you're the fullback means that you're putting your body on somebody just about every play.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell you, football is, and I love football. But what I'm trying to say is, there's always other sports. Heck, there's theater, drama classes. There's all sorts of ways to compete. These young women who are playing softball for Fort Dodge, what lessons they are learning without even knowing it. And
yeah, that's some of the toughest kids you'll see are female athletes. I mean, you see the Fort Dodge softball team, tough as nails, hard workers. Jalen Adams and some of that team, they put in work that people don't see. I know I heard a story about Jalen the other week, wasn't happy with how she was hitting. So after practice one Thursday night, now this is during the season, so she played on Wednesday and was going to play on Friday. On a Thursday night after practice, after dinner, goes back out to the field to hit another bucket of balls to try to get right.
There
And
we
then
go.
that Friday goes 4 for 5 at the plate. So, I mean, it definitely, and I coached girls basketball for a while, boys and girls basketball, but having coached girls athletes, if you think that they're any different or they're any less competitive or they're any less tough, you are absolutely mistaken. I think that in a lot of cases at that age, girls are actually tougher than the guys are. I've had some girls
You think so?
that were tougher than some of the guys that I've coached. Yeah.
Well, I've come around to women's sports. Here in Iowa, we used to have, and I've said this several times, 6-girl basketball.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
wasn't-
yeah.
It wasn't really taken seriously. It was a nice thing for the girls to do, but it was still girl stuff. Boy, I watched those young women out there in the College World Series or in the WNBA or in the college level ball. They are athletes
Oh, yeah.
in every sense of the word.
For sure.
And they're good.
Yeah, for sure.
When I was a kid, oh, you run like a girl. These women run like athletes.
Yeah.
They run like
Yeah.
athletes.
For sure. And, watching a lot of Fort Dodge softball, being around that, calling a lot of that, the plays that they make defensively. I mean, the shortstop, Torrey Bennett, and some of the other players they make defensively are plays that guys make in baseball. You know what I mean? Like, well, dive and stop up the middle on a grounder and then a flip to second. I mean, that's Ozzie Smith type of stuff right there. The diving catches in the outfield, stuff you see on Sports Center, man. Like, so they really play at a level that, I don't think it's fair to try to categorize girls sports as one thing or to think of it as anything less than what it really is. And they're tremendous athletes. And so it's one of those deals where you watch them. For me, I had done a little softball, but I'd never been around a softball program as close as I am to this one and as good as this one. So being around this one really opened my eyes to a lot of it too.
Yeah. Let's talk about the NBA just real quickly, and we're going to talk about the NBA here real quickly. And I always like to talk local sports with you.
Yeah.
But Kevin Durant should just be his own team, it should be the Lakers against Durant or the Warriors against Durant, and Durant would win a good percentage of the game. That guy's ridiculous.
He is pretty ridiculous. Of course, he's going to be watching the rest of the playoffs now.
That's too bad, isn't it?
He is a tremendous player. Missed that shot. He hit that shot the other night where his foot was on the line that would have won it had his foot not been on the line. Then he missed the one in overtime that would have won the game or whatever, and was the end of the game.
Are the Nets out of it now?
Yeah, they're out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Milwaukee Bucks, and I think Atlanta won last night. I think I had to check on that for the East.
Yeah,
and
they
then
did.
the West is Phoenix and LA Clippers.
The West is Phoenix. And LA
Phoenix and the LA
Is
Clippers.
that right?
Yes.
Well, the LA Clippers is Kawhi.
Yeah, Kawhi. Yeah. Well, he's got some help. Paul
He's got-
George.
he does, in fairness. But still, when I watch that team play, it's Kawhi.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the closest, I think, to Durant as far as overall ability. And there's some great players in the NBA. Russell
Westbrook.
is still serious. Stefan out there and
Stephen Curry.
Curry, yeah.
A guy that people don't talk about who's great. If you get a chance to watch him in the Western Conference Finals, do so. That's Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. He's a great scorer, great shooter. The Phoenix Suns without Chris Paul right now. Chris Paul, great leader and pass first point guard. So that's going to hurt them, I think, against the Clippers. But Devin Booker is the real deal that doesn't get talked about as much as some of those other guys.
It's speaking of this sort of thing, we could probably just have Charles Barkley and get rid of those other guys. I mean, what do we got Shaq over there in the corner for? Yeah. And who's this old white guy? Shut up, man. Get rid of all those people and let Charles do this. Rob Jones has been our guest. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Mike.
It's 3:00. Senator Jesse Green is next.